Welcome, friends, and thank you for tuning into the Optimal Health Program. Hope you're all doing well today. As you know, we're going to talk about a variety of different great articles that I've been able to pull out of the internet ether mega world. We'll talk about something that we're working on in a few minutes related to AI that's just this spectacular new world for me and will be for all of, our patients and even far-reaching patients who can never get to the office. AI has created such an ease of function, it just goes beyond, your imagination. To talk a little bit about that right off the bat, we're working on a project called Hemologics, where people anywhere in the country can put blood work into a platform on the computer, and AI will read the blood work and give you your best discussion, as I've trained the AI to do this, and then recommend diet, exercise, vitamins, and minerals. But not recommending vitamins to sort of basic range, but the best range for your best and your optimal health. So really important concept. So in utilizing and putting this all together, the gentleman I'm working with in Florida, Stan, who's an expert coder, a genius, was able to create a mechanism so that we could ask AI for the latest research and studies on vitamins, vitamin deficiency, vitamin benefits, the latest in diabetes and disease statistics and progression. And I just went on this the other day, and, to have 50 or 100, as many articles as I want every week, show up in this mechanism, this platform, and to be able to look at an article, read it, like it, add my comments to it, pop it on my website, will populate my website with more data and information, which Google and all the analytics love, and again, without much effort at all. It also then create slides for Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn pages, so you can start to have that information and then the discussion created from that. It's just staggering to me that without any effort, you can just have all this information sent to you sort of on a daily or a weekly basis, use that information, read it, and just, access it and put it into play. So I'm very excited about that. Also, with the way that this works, you can take, and I'm going to call them make-believe patients, and give a make-believe patient a name, put some random blood work in, high cholesterol, low vitamin D, et cetera, and get a bunch of those individuals that you've created that really aren't real people because it's AI, and the AI mechanism with a nurse and with a doctor on the AI platform, you can get feedback from the fake patients about the AI nurse and the AI doctor and the entire mechanism to see how well it's flowing. It's just incredible that this capacity is there. Another part of the picture is that where people go to ChatGPT to look for all sorts of info, and it exists all over the place, and ChatGPT can send you to different, more specialty sites for more information on a topic. We're working on linking what we're doing with ChatGPT. So if ChatGPT receives questions about vitamins, minerals, health, nutrition, anti-aging, then they can refer that over to our site. So it's amazing that within a couple of months, all of this stuff that we put together would have taken 3 or 4 years to do, and now is really available at our fingertips. So between looking at the blood work in a super thorough way, and again, you can get your telehealth visits with myself, with other doctors that we're going to have on board across the country. And if you want to get hormones and peptides, et cetera, recheck your blood. If you want to have a visit every month or every other month, telehealth, you can, determine what you'd like and do that. With remote patient monitoring, where if you're hypertensive, we give you a blood pressure cuff to take home and wear. And we're tracking your blood pressure every day or your blood sugar with the glucometer, or the patch continuous glucose monitor, which I like better. If we can have you wear a watch, a ring, or a bracelet to look at all your vitals, including sleep or sleep apnea patterns, if we could look at your heart rate rhythm, get a little EKG from the device, look at temperature, oxygen, all of these things, we can really track our patients and have unbelievable data to be able to keep our patients super healthy. Not just seeing a patient 3 or 4 times a year and trying to figure out what to do. With a little bit of data, a little bit of blood pressure reading or sugar readings, now this is spectacular. It's amazing how we could learn and look at all of this and be able to prevent big problems from occurring. That's the entire picture. So this is the essence of preventive medicine. The remote patient monitoring is absolutely preventive medicine for Medicare age patients, and it's working extremely well. We've been doing it for a while now. So I've been saying that, in the future, not too distant future, the majority of communications between patients and doctors will be through telehealth, the great majority. Yes, if you need surgery, you need to be examined, you have something that's more than just an average complaint, of course, that still exists, but most of the, I guess, triage, you could call it, like they do in the Army scenarios or like MASH in that cool TV show from back in the day, will be done this way. You chat with your doctor, you get an idea, the lab goes to your house to draw your blood, etc. All these things can be done at home. There are new technologies being created where you wear a little pad at home and, you could do an EKG at home and it goes right to my computer. Or get on your exercise bike and pedal for a half hour. It's like a stress test, up and down, speed, variability, etc. And that goes right to my computer. So we can watch every bit of the picture. It's genius. So very excited to get that up and running within the next couple of weeks. We should have that out and about and set up for people. But it never ceases to amaze me how technology and computer
power.
Power. I'm not sure what the right word is. The computer experience and the extent of the rapid computer capability, and connection and data gathering can make such a difference in medicine, immediate difference in medicine. So very excited about that.
Yeah, and as a lot of people in the chat are talking about, there's so many reasons to be scared and terrified of AI, but this is not one of those reasons. This seems to be the best case scenario.
Yeah, it really is, because I'm working on it. I'm doing it. I'm seeing this day to day, and every time I talk to Stan, I'm like, this just blows my mind. It's unbelievable how you can create and watch and track and fine tune. It's just, for many, many years and in years past, doctors had to figure out your problem. Now, they didn't really have 200 markers to look at on your blood test like I do. They didn't really have, if you go before MRIs and many of these tests, we weren't really sure what's going on with people. So a lot of people suffered or ended up with bad outcomes because we didn't have the technology that was good enough to be able to teach us what's occurring. Now, with of course, MRIs coming down the pike, and that started years ago, and CAT scans and ultra-fast CAT scans and newer modalities, we have a lot more information. The next thing you're going to see is that this jumps through the roof. Instead of having some information here or there, we'll have all that great information we need on a daily basis from you. It's a doctor's dream. What doctor wouldn't want to track Mrs. Manicotti's blood pressure for a month and say, hey, look, you've lost the weight, your blood pressure's down, let's get you off your medication. Or the same thing with blood sugar or any of the other things. Now we can really make a difference because all the data's there. You're not missing out on anything. Of course, doctors are going to need to learn about doing the big blood test as I do, but if we get this up and running and we have a company that's got doctors all over the country that'll take calls from our patients that are interested in this process all over the country, I have to have them trained to be able to do, the same thing that I'm doing. So it's exciting. It's amazing. But I think there's no end to the benefit of this for, healthcare. I think that the malpractice companies are going to require some form of an approved AI for radiology doctors and groups to be able to add on to a better diagnosis because the AI is going to help to give that or create that. I think it's going to go into every field of medicine so that doctors at their fingertips will have all sorts of information. Or if a doctor sees some weird thing on a patient and he checks on AI, what are the possibilities of this? What else might this be? I mean, AI is the biggest brain that's ever existed, so that's a great deal better than the average doctor's brain, for sure. So, excited about it.
Chat's excited. Chat's just talking about some AI possibilities. There's definitely, yeah, I agree. Julie, I see you in the chat, but people are just talking about how there should be some legislations to make sure that companies aren't altering data in the future for, things like that.
Well, everything that's happening now, the requirements are already there for being HIPAA compliant, et cetera. So yes, there's got to be a lot of oversight on this. But the benefit to patients and the way that the doctor-patient relationship exists is going to be unheard of. It's going to be terrific. And it's also testable, trackable. And the doctor's going to be there. He's going to be looking at this and working with this. So, his oversight, his input will always be important, will always be there. But as I say, imagine gathering all this data and you could really make a difference in that person. They are already saying that with the remote monitoring mechanism, when you're comparing your age with your medical scenario with someone else your age or a million other people your age, your height, your weight, your parameters, male, female, whatever, you're going to be saving millions and millions of lives and millions of dollars because you're just getting more accurate information all the time. A person's got a high or low sugar, high or low pressure, you get an alert. Doctor's notified, you deal with it right away, rather than it's something happening 10 times before the person passes out or feels horrible, then it's got to go to the ER. It's good stuff. I'm sure there are people that will use AI for other bizarre reasons, like, making believe there's someone else on social media and who knows what, making stupid videos, but that's easy to look at and see. It's being ridiculous. Every lawyer that I know, every architect that I've spoken with, and I've talked to everybody about AI because everybody's all abuzz about it, love it. So I think there's a lot of great potential with it.
Yeah, Chad's saying, looking forward to seeing cases where the tool catches something early that changes an outcome. Those are going to be incredible.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I absolutely believe that will happen. Whether it's medical testing, radiology, or just a doctor being told, hey, Mrs. So-and-so has AFib. She didn't have it before, and it's progressing. We call Mrs. So-and-so. You get her set up, contact her cardiologist. He meets her at the hospital, fixes the problem. There's no more waiting and sort of guessing and wondering. You're getting real-life information.
Yeah, I see Monkey in the chat said, this is definitely going to reduce hospital admissions. This should be something that insurance companies pay attention to.
Well, Medicare has already endorsed this. There are codes for the RPM. And the beauty is, and remember, Medicare spends massive amounts of money on a lot of things and maybe wastes a lot of money, but this is the first time I've ever heard Medicare wanting to do something preventive. So if we can track patients with blood pressure, glucometer, blah, 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 and we could prevent a problem from occurring, that's saving that big ER visit. And some of those visits are $200,000-$300,000 visits. So Medicare thinks if they pay us X amount of money a month, $50, $100 a month, to track things, that's a lot better than a $300,000 ER visit. So it makes sense. And also the people people do love it already, will love it. They've got that connection with their doctor that's even better than ever before. Of course, the doctor may hire some more staff to have to deal with, phone calls and this and that, but still, it's genius.
Ooh.
We're always trying to look to make things more efficient. Of course, I've always. And now this is just another amazing opportunity to do that.
I'm just having an issue with Rumble, so just give me a moment.
Okay. Little connection problem?
Yeah, well, connection's good. I think just the site is freezing up on me.
Okay.
All right. Is the AI making decisions or just assisting you?
The AI isn't making decisions. It's looking at data and setting that data up. The doctor really makes the decisions. The AI is showing information, references, but it's not meant to make the decision. The doctor makes the decision. But think of it, if a doctor's got a little bit of information, a little harder to make the decision. Sometimes doctors are guessing at what to do, what not to do. If the AI puts in the information in front of the doctor from tons of data, whether it's tons of blood pressure or sugar readings or rate and rhythm or EKG, etc., the doctor's got a lot to go on. For younger doctors that may not be, and maybe some older doctors that may not be up on every potential side effect of a medication, let's say a patient is a certain age, a certain, man, woman, blah, 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 this or that, complications, other meds. If a person's on 10 different meds, the doctor never really looks at all 10 meds to see what's going to interact, but AI already has that in its brain. So that information gets presented to the doctor. So, this is a better choice of medication because the patient's on this and this. It's just super thorough.
Can the AI call my husband at 2 a.m. when he's snoring too loud to wake him up?
There are programs that will allow that, and it'll poke him with a cattle prod. I mean, if you buy the cattle prod, there are different size cattle prods, but you may not have to have the big 10
Purchase
million
separately.
Cattle prod. But the watch and the ring and the band can check for sleep apnea, and if that's a significant part of the snoring, which almost always is, then you could have a home sleep apnea test done and then take steps to help to change the sleep apnea to stop the snoring. So in a roundabout way, yes.
What a world we're in, Doc.
Yep. I feel like a surfer, like a cool surfer on the top of the wave. And it's a massive wave going all the way across from Europe to here or here to Europe or wherever. And we're just riding on the top of this massive knowledge gathering mechanism. It's just it's exciting.
With you. I think we're good on questions for that.
So let's talk about some of the articles here.
And just if you're watching us on Rumble, if you're having any issues as well, just write in the chat. Make sure it's not just me. Thank you.
So this might be a odd question. How many people in the audience are bird watchers?
Ooh, I had a moment, Doc, when I would go to Centerport, and I would take my long lens and I'd take pictures of the bald eagles. It was very therapeutic.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Oh yeah,
they're big,
huge.
If people haven't seen a bald eagle, years ago, probably 7 or 8 years ago, I was out in Montauk with my friend Mike. Montauk Lures. Anybody who needs some really cool lures to catch fish that don't get stuck in the rocks or in the seaweed, Montauk Lures. We were out on the beach. He has his camper. I have my 4x4 truck, and we're out relaxing. Caught some fish, eating it right there, a little barbecue. I bring out vegetables and all, lamb chops. And off in the distance, we see this big bird. I'm like, what the heck is that? Like a vulture? Like, what is that thing? And it came closer and closer and circling in, and it landed on sort of a dead branch on what used to be a tree. I'm like, God, that's big. And we both were looking at it. I'm like, it's an eagle, but it's not a bald eagle with the white head. It was like a brown eagle. But it was big.
Maybe a falcon?
Yeah, and it was looking at us, and we were looking at it like... So I took some of the fish that I had on my plate, and I put it in a little paper plate. I walked over about 10 feet from it, and I put the plate down in the sand, and the thing's looking at me. Big beak and all, looked just like an eagle without the white head. And I walked away, and we sat there, and my friend and I sat, and we watched it. And it kept looking at us, and then it just flew down, walked over, like a big eagle bird would do, and then it started pecking, looked at us again, pecking, and ate the whole thing in like 3 bites, and then just sat there looking at us. And I had music playing. I'm like, this eagle wants to hang out with us. That's like the coolest eagle I've ever seen. And he hung out with us. And then at some point he flew and he did circles around, our trucks, went out to the ocean, kind of back, and went back up on the tree. And he hung out with us all day. Of course, we fed him a little bit more, but, it was pretty wild to see that creature that big,
Yeah.
And then I go upstate sometimes. I go hiking upstate. There's a lot of bald eagles up there. Because in the fields up there, there's lots of different creatures that bald eagles like to nosh on. And, you see one land about 30 feet from you, and it was a big, full-grown male bald eagle. It is big.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, now I know why they picked that for the symbol of the country. It's a big, kind of like muscular-looking, important creature. It was pretty wild.
I remember taking pictures and looking at the pictures after, and I'm zooming in, and I'm like, what is that smear? And I realized, like, it's all blood from, like, whatever it killed,
Just ate, yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
So the reason I mentioned the bird watching is that in medical news today, in another cool journal of neuroscience, highly respected journals, they're talking about expert birders. If you're a birder, give us a call. Because apparently, of course, as we age, our cognitive skills decrease, memory declining, vision declining, blah, blah, blah. A new study said expert birders have better function in the regions of their brain compared and related to attention, perception. They're more structurally compact in those individuals, but have better ability and function. And their ability increases over time as they do their hobby, as they age. And those people compared to non-birders, there's a lot of non-birders out there.
Many more than birders, I'd say.
Those individuals have far greater brain function and longevity, in part because trying to identify and focus and look at the bird gives them better function in different regions of their brain.
Very, very cool.
Pretty cool. I'm going to go get my little binoculars out.
Yeah,
I have
right?
like 5 different types of binoculars for all sorts of things because I like gadgets. I have too many binoculars. I have too many different things, but it'd be cool. And I have a big yard in the back. We have a lot of cardinals for some reason. So there's these gorgeous red cardinals that just sit on perches and hang around. There are a lot of blue jays, different birds. There are hawks. So I'm going to start doing that, see if my brain improves.
I say,
If I can get smarter.
we got to do a test,
Yep.
Test you prior, test you after.
Before and after, absolutely. But that's a pretty cool thing. So if you're a birder, give us a call and explain to us how much better your brain is.
Listen, there's the number right there. Give us a call.
888-420-9272. We're waiting for the birders to call.
And someone did say in the chat that
Or imitate your favorite bird when you call.
Someone said that the cardinal is someone who is passed that is watching out for you.
Really?
Apparently, that is a
There are
cardinal
people
thing.
that believe that. So there's a lot of people that have passed that's watching out for me. Because I've got, a dozen of them in my backyard at least. And at any given point, you can see them coming around. I also have honeysuckle bushes, in one area. And a lot of the butterflies come. Some big butterflies, too. Not little butterflies, like gigantic butterflies. Where they come from, I don't know. But then, it's all good. Good colors. What's the best diet to lower cognitive decline risk? There were 6 diets that were studied. And I'm not a fan of a study that's only looking at one thing and not looking at multiple things. Like these studies did not look at heavy metal exposure, hormone decline, excess sugar intake, glycation, all the things we talk about when we're dealing with patients that have cognitive decline, or, MRIs of the brain or loss of, brain cells, shrinkage, and maybe using stem cells to put new cells back into the brain to create, more function, more neurotransmitters. But they're talking about certain diets that may be better because they're helping to control high blood pressure or helping to control circulation. People that typically were utilizing lots of proteins, good vegetables, fish, moderate wine consumption, help to lower the risk of cognitive decline. It kind of makes sense. But I don't want to push a person into the name of a diet because it's ultimately nonspecific. I'd rather learn about the person, fix their vitamins, minerals, hormones, get rid of heavy metals, and make a diet, Joe's diet, Mary's diet, or whatever the diet is for that person. It's a protocol based upon your function, your need, your requirement. So think of that study saying that, oh, this is a good diet for cognitive function. What if we added great vitamins, great hormones, exercise? What if we got heavy metals out of the picture? Then your results are going to be, staggering. It'd be a whole different world. So a lot of these things are sort of simple comments or suggestions.
I got a comment here, and they said, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I learned this from this program. Isn't cognitive decline often caused from inflammation?
Yes. Inflammation is probably one of the biggest buzzwords lately, and rightly so, because people need to know that inflammation could cause plaque in your blood vessels, damage in any tissue or cells of your body, in any organ. Inflammation can lead to cancer, can be caused by viruses, bacteria, heavy metals, vitamin deficiency and high homocysteine. The list goes on and on. So absolutely. But as I spoke to a patient today, and almost every day, I think, she says, I've had inflammation. I said, but what markers have they looked at, before you came to me? What type of inflammation? Well, I don't know. They just said inflammation. So just that word is not enough of an answer. You could have inflammation because of a virus, inflammation because of heavy metals, inflammation because of an allergy to a chemical or a GMO or a food. So we have to define the inflammation and then eradicate the cause. That's where you get your best result.
Boom, boom. Got some, someone's just said, sorry to be late, Doc. It's the first day. I'm not freezing my butt off. Had to have a nice little walk.
I know, huh?
Oh, yeah.
52 degrees I saw right before I walked into the studio here.
Which is?
It's amazing.
Oh, may as well be Florida.
And it's funny when you're used to really cold and then you get to 40, 50, you're like, oh, my God. You think it's 70. Yeah. Yesterday I stopped by a cafe and had a nice cup of coffee, sat outside. And I sat outside and I got a nice little bench in full sun, took off my jacket. I felt like taking off my shirt, but I couldn't. Took off my jacket and I just let the nice warm sun, rolled up my sleeves, hit my arms and my face. It felt so good. Can't wait.
Only thing you're missing is bird watching, Doc.
Yes. I need some sun, warm sun, some bird watching, and then I'll round it out.
We got someone in the chat, 58 here in New Jersey. New Jersey, you always get more snow than us, but also you get a little better weather. So I don't know.
Jersey.
What is that?
It's very interesting because, and I used to do my residency in New Jersey, but Jersey always gets like almost twice as much snow that we get in Nassau County or Manhattan. And then Suffolk County gets the same as New Jersey, like twice as much. My friends out in Hauppauge got 30 plus inches. Friends I know in New Jersey got 30 inches, and I got 15. So, it's odd, and I don't know how it works that way. And then sometimes the weather is warmer in those two areas and less warm around us. So, interesting observation.
But enough with the climate change. All right.
Yeah.
I'm done. After this year, New Yorkers, I'm done.
You see some funny things, memes and pictures on social media. Here's a picture of Plymouth Rock. Here's a picture of Plymouth Rock from the 1400s, and the water level is still identically the same. Or here's a picture of a lighthouse. Here's a picture of a lighthouse from, 1600 or something.
Same.
Or there's a famous castle in France. I forget the name of it, but the water goes out, and you could walk on the sand to this chateau. Someone might remember the name of it. But, and then the water comes back in, but the sea levels haven't changed, and that's not going to happen. So the whole climate change global thing, I think, has been a scam. Look at all the things that they said over 40 or 50 years. Oh, we're running out of gas. Nah, it didn't happen. I remember having to go online A days and B days to get gas, because they were rationing the gas.
Shout out to our chat.
Yeah.
Mount St. Michael.
Mount St. Michel, yeah.
Michelle.
So the other things are going to freeze to death, and I remember seeing things every few years they would say we're running out of oil, running out of gas, we're going to freeze to death, we're going to overheat us to death, and all these different things never happened. And meanwhile, Al Gore and all his cronies made millions and hundreds of millions of dollars on scaring people into thinking that, oh, all this is going to happen. So, and now explain something to me. We get out of the World Health Organization, and now Russia, China, and various countries have cures for cancer?
Yeah.
Why didn't we hear about that 2 weeks before, or 5 years, or 10 years before?
Something's up there.
Yeah, something crazy going on, as usual.
I wouldn't mind some Mount St. Michael. Michelle.
Can you put a picture up
Yeah.
of it?
Yeah,
There are some gorgeous buildings worldwide that, I haven't seen that, but I've seen a lot of things. And I've seen the Vatican, a bunch of times. I've seen gorgeous buildings almost all over the world. It's just, there's so much to see. And it's a shame that, it's just...
Ugh.
So I look at that, the first thing I say is, who the heck built that? or which architect or builder or physics genius engineers built that to last that many years? I mean, it's a gorgeous structure. It's a town. It's a massive,
You can't say anything.
town there. I mean, how did you build that for that to last that long?
You can't say that about anything that's been built in America in the past.
No.
I don't know.
All the buildings throughout, Europe and Rome and the Vatican and the aqueducts and all the Roman ideas and understanding and technology. And then the Etruscans before the Romans also were gifted. So how do you do that? No idea. I feel like an infant. I can't really even draw stick figures that look real. But, Michelangelo carved out of one stone of marble, the statue of David. If you've never seen that statue, or if you have, I've seen it up close. You can't understand how one person did that. That's talent.
We got something in the chat. Kit Kat Mars says, fossil fuel's not even a thing. The earth makes the mixture we use for fuel. Yeah, all these things that I've been, basically my entire high school and middle school experience were just...
Yeah, I don't believe anything they say.
Sit down, watch this movie about everything melting and how you're going to be underwater when you're an adult.
Because they need to scare everybody into something. And there's even more and more stuff coming out about the theoretical moon landing.
Oh, new stuff coming out?
More stuff coming out all the time. There's no way you could convince me that rickety tinfoil thing that supposedly landed on the moon. And there's no way you can convince me that rickety tinfoil little thing was able to leave the surface without any propulsion. And there's no way that there'd be no stars in the sky when you're looking at that, image. There's no way you can convince me that the first person who stepped on the moon off the ladder was Armstrong when there's someone far enough away from that rickety little tinfoil thing taking the picture. Then you have other things that are interesting. They have Armstrong's, boots and his whole outfit there. In the Smithsonian, you see the bottom of the boots are smooth. Then you see the first step that he took, and there's ridges, thick ridges from the bottom of a boot that had significant ridging on it. The other thing that amazes me is that, and I've had conversations with people about this, who's it, Nixon? How did Nixon pick up some crappy little phone on his desk and talk to the astronauts in real time? Hey guys, how are you doing? What, do you just dial a number and you reach outer space within seconds? That's not possible.
Delay.
That's not possible for him to be able to do that. And people say, oh, well, the technology. You mean they had technology back then? And they say, oh, they lost all the technology. They don't know what happened to it. Right. One of the most important events of our lifetime or in history, and you lost the ability to understand how to do that, how to get there? How do you make a phone call like you're calling New Jersey? Nothing against people in New Jersey. Or how do you make a phone call like you're calling Connecticut? Nothing against people in Connecticut. In minutes and have a clear connection to an astronaut in a space shuttle. I mean, what's propagating that signal from the space shuttle? Not space shuttle, from that lunar thing. And where was that lunar rover device, the beach chair with the antenna on it? I mean, look at that. People, take a look at the picture of that thing.
I'm actually...
Does that look like it's a $1 billion creation? Look at that thing. It looks like if you sat on it, it would fall apart. Yeah, there's the tinfoil thing. How did that get up in the air?
So, Dr. Chris...
Someone please tell me. Are there any NASA people on listening in?
Oh, man. So, funny enough, Doc, this picture right here that I have on the screen... That is from, have you ever heard of the Cradle of Aviation?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so for people that aren't from Long Island, there's a museum called the Cradle of Aviation because, back in the day, Grumman and Lockheed Martin, like they all had big plants out here. So that Cradle of Aviation actually has that's from the Cradle of Aviation. That's a picture. So that's an original lunar module that was created for the Apollo 18 or 19 missions, but those missions ended up getting scrapped. So it's a real lunar. I'm looking at this thing.
It's a real version of it.
Right. And I'm looking at this thing with my wife. At the time, I think we were just dating. And I'm like, you're telling me this thing landed. I mean, there's no shock absorbing, no spring. Like they just landed like hard, like with these hard metal
just landed.
Chopsticks.
And who would be stupid enough to get into that rickety little tinfoil thing and leave Earth and not know what's going to happen, have no control over where they're going? You expect to see oars out the side like they're trying to figure out how to navigate, steer it or control it, and land so far away. And there's no way that there is communication between that thing and the Earth. And yeah, that rover thing, the beach chair with the antenna on it, with the umbrella on it. Look at that thing. Look at the rover, the device that you're supposed to ride around in there. Where was that? How did that get up there? It wasn't on the tinfoil thing. Was it attached? Was it strapped, with like some Velcro or a bungee cord or something? How'd that get up there? There's so many questions, but they can never be answered. Besides the fact that, Buzz Aldrin, when he was interviewed like a dozen times, said we never went there. What you saw was there was nobody there with a camera. He even said that. Well,
that was, when I look at the old footage of it, it's like they have an exterior shot of the craft leaving the moon.
Yeah. How?
It's like, where was the cameraman that stayed back and just decided to die
Probably
alone?
A Martian. So I would believe that sooner than I would believe that, we made this thing and it was fit to be able to travel that far and land and then take off. Look at leaving Earth's atmosphere, the pressure you need to get these stupid things up in the air. It's just throwing so much crap in front of you that you're like confused and you're like, well, yeah, maybe Nixon could talk to the astronauts. People, please think of it for a minute. Just think about it. And there's so many more things about this that don't make any sense.
Yeah, and like people in the chat, like, oh, they had GPS back then. Yes, GPS, Global Positioning Service. You know what that's used for? Earth.
Yeah.
Earth. And once you leave Earth,
yeah,
what do you got?
Yeah. There were no cell phones. And then again, how do you make a call from Earth to the moon?
With no lag.
Towers,
no lag.
I can't make a regular phone call to you without my phone cutting out, and we're in the same county. We're in the same place. So how can my cell phone not work, but then...
Your plane hits 10,000 feet, and you can't make a call because of the towers are too far away.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Please, people, be cynical. Question everything. Trust nothing.
Someone said that... To your comment about who would get into that rinkety thing, someone said men who are adventurous. Not too many of those around anymore.
There's none.
I agree with that. However, still getting in a metal box and just being pointed away and saying you're going to the moon. I don't know.
It's just who in their right mind would set foot into that thing, knowing what they were going to do. That's why I think it was all shot somewhere in a studio. And there are other pictures where the shadows are going the wrong way and no stars and a whole bunch of different things that other people have looked at. People that are brilliant with film
Studio
and cameras
lighting and
studio.
stuff.
Yeah, all of that. And then there's a picture of all the guys on the moon with their helmets off.
No, there isn't.
Yeah, there is. I just saw it
We got to make sure it's not
a
AI.
month ago. No, it looks pretty real. So, yeah, you have to make sure. Okay, let's talk about magnesium. Magnesium is super. It's important. A study comes out saying, whoa, magnesium, the super hyped magnesium. Yeah, it's hyped because it's really good for you, and a lot of people are low. And when you correct magnesium to the right range, you can lower blood pressure, open up your airways better, decrease the risk for a variety of different diseases. Magnesium supplementation. It annoys me that a lot of publications are making it look like vitamins are just not significant things or not as significant as medications, but that's been going on forever. They say it might help with attention deficit, restless leg syndrome, certainly cardiac issues. But the studies don't talk about testing everybody for magnesium to see where their levels are. Again, so why do a study if you can't give me real-time data on what we're talking about? If you look at a regular magnesium blood test, that's serum, that might look good, but you may not have enough to really fill your cells, which is red blood cell magnesium tests. So we do that all the time. And some people need a lot more magnesium. And as soon as you correct that, I've seen people where AFib goes away, it doesn't come back. Same thing with potassium. And there are millions of studies on vitamins and minerals all over the place in great search engines like Google Scholar. You can see it, but you're not allowed to make vitamins sound good.
Someone in the chat just said that they started taking magnesium for heart irregularities, and it seems to have helped a lot.
Yeah, it does. I see this all the time. I've seen this for 40 years. So we've been putting people on corrected vitamin levels based upon their blood test, which is the only true way to correct. Recheck you to make sure you're in a perfect zone. And you see all sorts of benefits that even sometimes meds don't create. The one thing about hypertension that I have a bone to pick with is just when traditionally doctors see you and you're hypertensive, it could be because your magnesium, potassium are low. They might give you a diuretic, which might deplete magnesium, potassium, which would make it worse. Then that medication is not working. Another med, and all of a sudden you're on 5 meds. What if you just tested the red blood cell potassium, magnesium, corrected them, and maybe the pressure improves? You don't need the meds. Or if that person has a really high pressure, you put them on the meds, you check magnesium, potassium, and red blood cell, you correct that, you get them to lose weight. Weight comes down by 15 pounds, all of a sudden blood pressure is better, minerals are better, you wean them off the meds, and they're great. Why not? That's the way it should be.
What form is best for sleep?
They're talking a lot about magnesium glycinate lately. I think that's probably the better form. glycinate. It's absorbed really well. And a lot of my patients with arrhythmias or sleep disturbance do better with that.
Another comment. I've been hearing about modern soil depletion affecting magnesium levels in our food.
Absolutely. Everything is depleted when you grow foods in the same soil over and over and over again. That's been going on for a very long time. I've been, talking about that. I've been hearing that for a long time, many years. It would be nice if the food growers or food companies would understand that. They should. And then just take the minerals and just put all the minerals back into the soil. So every year you have the same grade high levels of minerals turned into the soil. But I had a thought the other day. I was lying in bed and I was watching TV and you see these commercials and I'm thinking, wow, RFK Jr. is doing a great job getting all the coloring and the dyes and the crap out of the food and the drinks. And who allows the food companies to put this stuff in there in the first place? Who's the chemist or the person in charge of food manufacture that's allowing the red dyes and 70 chemicals in beef and 70 chemicals in chicken? Who's allowing that? No one's looking that over. I mean, you look at and compare to Europe, all the countries there that refuse to have these things in their food. Maybe there's 3 or 4 ingredients, and here there's 40. Who's allowing it? There's got to be someone who looks at all this and says, get all that stuff out of the food. So in part, the health of our country is affected negatively by the food manufacturers. They make meat glue. They take crappy sources of leftover meat, put them all together, and use this glue to make it look like it's a real steak. Look at some videos on that, people. You'd be amazed.
Yeah, someone in the chat is just like, if they're able to push crushed beetles as red food dye, I don't understand where the limit is and how it's being regulated.
It's a shame.
Yeah, that is the grossest thing ever. Also, there was did you hear about this Parmesan recall they're talking about in the chat?
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm just Googling it. I didn't hear about this, but a nationwide recall of over 11,500 units of grated Pecorino Romano and related cheese products, including some labeled as Parmesan blends, has been upgraded to a Class 1 recall by the FDA due to Listeria contamination.
Yeah, Listeria is a common bug, and Listeria can pop up anywhere along the processing of food. So it's not limited to only cheese. And then there's all sorts of bacteria that could get into food during processing. When you talk about growing your own food or going to a local farm that grows everything under strict, good, healthy conditions, you have no risk. But if places are massive places are taking product and shifting it and moving it around and this and that, there's always a chance for infection.
Mar in the chat wants to know, can you take magnesium at the same time as calcium?
Absolutely. The human body wasn't meant to take magnesium and then have to wait and check, and then take something else. The human body was meant to bring food in, really good food, back in the earliest days of man, bring in good vegetable sources, good protein sources, etc., and nothing was separated, and the body did very well with that. Today, because of so much going on in chemicals in food and interference with absorption and digestion, some people need more of this or more of that, and we can tailor that. That's easy to do based on your blood test, but human body was not meant to have this thing at this time and then wait a half hour to have this, or things had to be together in the same, 2 capsules together. We need to test the vitamins, correct them with foods and with vitamins, and then retest to prove that we've hit the mark.
Another comment, some of the chicken looks awful. Grainy, sometimes chewy, also a lot of cartilage. Yeah. I agree with this. Yeah. Something's up with the chicken in the food, in the markets, right? And not in the food, not in the markets. That's why you got to go to a farmer's market.
I wouldn't trust chicken or eggs for that matter, or a lot of things that are just in local, regular supermarkets.
Not good.
Someone was showing me something about the labels on apples and food that if the first letter is N, you shouldn't use it because that talks about a waxy chemical coating that permeates into the apple. So fortunately, there are apple orchards not far from where I live, and they've got this really good apple day in Millneck, and you can go get apples right off the tree. No spraying, no garbage. Every couple of days, I go to Moolah Farms, our friends over in Brookville. And for those who don't know about it, it's a great farm. So it's a small version and then a big version they have upstate. And they have a lot of terrific food. I even have, here's one of their big cards. So they have so much great organic, chemical-free, drug-free, pesticide-free food that I go to their shed every other day and I buy some things for my mom, for my family, for myself. They have wonderful little chicken that they grow on the property here in Brookville. They've got a big coop, a lot of chickens laying eggs, as fresh as could possibly be. Upstate, they have sheep and they have goats on the property. Upstate, they have beef, and it's got to be butchered by a specific USDA certified, butcher. And they bring all that down. They put that in the freezer. Every cut of meat you could imagine. They have fresh milk, which is unbelievable. You'd never drink, milk again other than this type of milk once you tried it. They make their own pure ice cream with no chemicals or anything in it. They make sausage, which tastes terrific because it's just the meat in the casing, no chemicals, zero. And a good friend of mine who's a German food connoisseur, a good buddy of mine, John, big German guy, and we tease him about all sorts of things because we say Italian food's better. Of course it is. The German food, but I gave him a couple of the Italian sausage with garlic, sweet Italian, I guess the spicy or hot Italian, bratwurst with beer and cheese in it, and a regular bratwurst, and he loved it. But you're tasting real stuff with no chemicals. If you were to do a side-by-side test and you bit into the regular stuff you'd buy in the market with all the chemicals in it you buy in the store, and then you'd eat this, you'd never eat the other stuff again, and I don't. So it's just great to have pure, healthy, organic, chemical and junk-free food. So pasture-raised eggs, A2 milk, gallon, half gallon, A2 cream, half and half, butter, maple syrup, mixed berry jam, honey butter is delicious, Greek yogurt's amazing, A2 ice cream, breakfast sausage. They make their own breads. The sourdough bread is terrific. Sourdough cinnamon raisins amazing. Lots of other things. Organic fresh pies, apple, caramel apple, coconut cream pie, blueberry. But, to find things like this that have nothing in it, you can't find it. That's why I'm so excited about helping them, get and build their business. Ground beef, hamburger, strip steak, sirloin steak, skirt steak, London broil, short rib, brisket, T-bone, porterhouse, liver, flank, tenderloin, rib steaks, all the different types of chicken, chicken breast, wings, thighs, drumsticks, bacon, breast sausage, blah, 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 bratwurst, pork shoulder, pork butt, blah, blah, blah. Moolah Farms. You can find them on Instagram, MOOLA Farm. Follow them. They're really nice people. Really, really nice people. Sal and Christina. And her kids are awesome. And, it's a great, great place. And, there probably are a bunch of other places further out on the island that I'm not 100% aware of. There's one terrific place called Milosky's Poultry Farm, Milosky, I believe. That's how it's spelled. And they have duck eggs, which are terrific, brown eggs, double yolk, creamy, delicious, just all healthy, organic stuff. They have chicken, they have turkey, they have venison, they have a lot of different things. Maybe ostrich too. But I don't know if you want to pop that up. Milosky, Milosky. They have some great stuff, and I've heard about a few other places. I don't remember the names. I got to write them down. But if you can get to a local farm and get some fresh, healthy stuff, you'll be happy.
Someone's just mentioning, I drink A2 low pasteurized milk. Raw milk is good, but illegal to buy here in New Jersey unless it's for a pet. Interesting. Interesting. Illegal, you say.
Jersey.
Nobody's stopping me for my milk.
They'll let the Jersey Shore TV show go on and on and on, but they won't let you have, good milk.
I think Paulie D would appreciate some some raw milk. Another comment, sometimes the butchers aren't using the best suppliers, especially since there's a few huge food conglomerates supplying a lot of our foods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why search around in your area. I'm sure it's much more available in more rural areas, not as much in the big city areas, like, deeper into Pennsylvania or different parts of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, upstate, all the other states, Midwest, I know. A lot of the western states you can get these things. But, if you're from Long Island or New York or wherever you live, look around for this, see what you can get. I tell the story of going to a place in, I'm trying to think exactly where it was. It was on one of the northernmost parts of Long Island, Matinacock maybe. and you couldn't really find the name of the place. There was a little sign, and you go there. My friend Ray, who I'll talk about in a minute, told me to go there to get fresh eggs. And I drive onto the property, through like a little gate, and there's just a billion chickens roaming around. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And they're all looking at me. I'm like, oh, these chickens. Maybe they haven't seen, a human get out of the car, drive down on their property for a while. And I go, and there's a fridge there, and there's some eggs. So I got a couple of dozen eggs, put the money in. Inexpensive, nice eggs. They say the rough skin or the shell on the egg should be a little rough with bumps on it, and that's a good sign. Look great. I go to get back in the car, and there's all these chicken looking at me, coming closer to me. I'm like, what the heck? It was like something out of a horror movie. I go to get in my car, and I had left the door open on the driver's side, and now these chickens are trying to jump into the car. They're trying to escape. Help me. Help me get away.
I'm next.
So, of course, I kind of shooed them away, and and it took me like 5 minutes to turn the car around because I don't want to run over the chickens, but they were all hanging around my car. I'm like, wow, they're either friendly or they're demonic. You never know.
It's a good start to a movie right there.
So I went to see the Elvis movie last night, the epic Elvis Presley in concert, which, if you're an Elvis fan, is great. It showed you behind the scenes, talking with people, Sammy Davis, Cary Grant, in studio, rehearsing songs, changing, talking about notes and this and that. It was great. And then different concert videos that hadn't been seen before. So Ray's a big Elvis fan, so am I. And Ray knows I have Elvis's lion head ring with 2 rubies as the eyes and a diamond in the mouth. I said, oh, how cool would it be if, we're watching this movie and, you see your ring. And I'm like, yeah, that would be awesome. So throughout the movie, different things, different scenes are showing. And at one point, he's singing on stage. And I'm like, wow, it could be. It just wasn't a close enough picture for me to be able to see it. But, a lion head is like a big oval thing. And I'm like, it could be. I'll have to buy this video when it comes out and go through it slowly to see. Then towards the end, he does his live version of Suspicious Minds, where it's just a long version, and he's doing the dance and he's moving around and he's throwing his body all over the place. And then he goes very slow, and then the movie music builds up again. He starts doing all the movements. And then they zero in on his microphone, and there on his ring, on his finger, is my ring, his ring. But
yours now.
The identical ring, it was there. I'm like, oh my God.
Unreal.
That was the coolest thing ever. So he's wearing his ring that I have locked up in my safe.
Legendary.
Guarded by a moat, a Bengal tiger,
and 2 large
German Shepherd,
dogs.
and yeah.
Oh, that's legendary, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You have a piece of history right there.
Yep.
We do have one final question from before regarding vitamins.
Yes.
About vitamins, I wonder about the potency of some of the vitamins when taken together. What the doctor said makes sense because we eat foods with many vitamins in them and they work together. Oh,
Correct.
So I guess that wasn't a question.
So the word potency is an interesting question. Manufacturers try to make you think that theirs is more potent or better or more absorbable, but based on what? They're not taking 1,000 people and giving them the same vitamin regimen to see who has good levels and not. No one's testing for vitamins other than myself. And there's probably a handful of doctors across the country who've gone to the same conferences I've gone to in 40 years or may have similar certifications that, understand the absolute dire need to do vitamin testing. So there are good vitamins where, 300 milligrams of something like magnesium may show up in one person and just meet their requirement. Another person might need more. Maybe their absorption's off a little bit. Maybe they need 600 milligrams, or with CoQ10, the same thing. So it has to be done on an individual basis. That's the only way to get your best results. And every vitamin company is vying for your business, just like every drug company. So once you learn about your body first, make the recommendations. If everything's great, perfect. Stay with those vitamins. If not, we could adjust that. And to that end, what I've done most recently is to create vitamin packs for people. So I see the blood work, I see their history, the medical issues, and I'll check off different nutrients to put in their morning pack, a multivitamin, CoQ10, vitamin D and K, probiotic, sometimes a cholesterol-lowering, vitamin, and then another recommendation for evening, and then recheck your blood after you've taken them for a month to prove their levels are perfect, and 99% of the time they are. So that's the only real accurate way to take vitamins. Now, this is available to anybody who can hear my voice. You could be anywhere across the country or in parts beyond, as we've had so many people that have come from Europe. But you could call the office, do a telehealth visit. We can send you a prescription to get your blood work done for all the things that we look at, and then do a second telehealth visit to make recommendations. So very easy. And as soon as we have the whole Hemologics thing up and running, which should be within the next few weeks to a month, then anybody could, utilize that as well. Put your blood work in and get the read. So we're trying to make it easy for everybody to get super healthy, but in the ultimately most specific way with your vitamins and minerals. And for that, your hormones and peptides as well. Phone number to the office is 516-794-0404. And the website, drcalapai.com. So we have a lot of really good information to give you and keep giving to you. So every week, as you know, we're going to chat about the latest in what we're doing with the Hemologics, with AI, with stem cell therapy. If you like, certainly please go to our Instagram or Facebook, Dr. Chris Calapai, same as what you're seeing up on the screen. And you can see videos of patients who've had different therapies done. And now, because of this new way for me to gather articles in whatever numbers I want, comment on them and put them out there, you're going to see a ton of really good information. So we'd love for you to subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, we're putting things on as well, website, all that. It's going to explode really soon.
Let's go.
There's going to be so much information available to you. It's going to be crazy.
Beauty.
Good stuff. Oh, did we mention we broke 300,000?
Oh, we did not.
Yeah, we broke 300,000 views last week.
That's
That's incredible. We're very, very thankful for that. Yeah, we jumped 100,000, a little over 100,000 views from the weeks before to last week. So we're super happy with that. And for all of our great listeners on Rumble and LFA and people listening and coming from other venues, we're excited about that. So it's a lot of fun. What we do here is fun.
It is.
Any other questions?
I think we're good. A lot of thanks in the chat.
Good. Thank you for listening and
Saturdays.
watching. Wonderful weekend for everybody. Get out and enjoy the weather. Go for a walk, a ride, a bike. Care if you get a rollerblade. Thank God that fad is
Gone.
gone.
Unless
I
you're in
saw more
LA.
people with injuries of their wrists, their elbows, all their joints, because people that rollerblade, if you're not good at it, don't do it on the main street.
Yes.
You hit a piece of rock, some gravel, you're going down. It's not pretty. Nobody wants to see you have these raspberry rashes all over your body. Some people, they go skiing and they wear like a $2,000 ski outfit, but they can't ski.
Right.
Or people that are wearing this, beautiful cycling outfit, but they're just not cyclists.
And it's
Or
going to
people
rip.
doing the rollerblading and they're wearing shorts and, and they're not wearing enough pads. It's like, you're going to get banged up.
Yeah.
Then you can't do anything.
Word to the wise.
So just take it slow and gradually. Do it deliberately. Years ago, I'd take my friends. I lived in Lido Beach, and there was a pathway behind the homes in Lido Beach, which were the dunes are right there, and we'd get our rollerblades on. For those who weren't good at rollerblading, we'd give them hockey sticks, so they could lean over a little bit and have the stick to sort of balance themselves.
Smart.
And we'd zip through this one park area and go all around and blah, 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 and went down to the boardwalk. It was great. But, we did it in a very controlled environment. That's what you got to do.
No cars.
Yeah. Nothing crazy. Don't be crazy. Be safe. Be healthy. Be smart.
We got one more question before
Yes.
we end. So, one more question. I got you. Don't worry. How much magnesium and potassium for AFib?
It varies. For some people, we'll recommend starting at 100 milligrams each and then increasing a little bit and looking at absorption. So we'll test them first to see where they are. If they're very low, then we'll give them both of those to bring it up and then bring it up a little bit more. So it's really based upon what your first blood test shows, and once we make the recommendations, what your second and third blood tests show to get you into that right zone. So that's the only accurate way to do it. As much as people want to hear, take X amount of this or X amount of that by someone who's on TV, radio, or otherwise, my comment would be, let's see what your levels are first, then we'll recommend, recheck, and then prove. It's the only safe way to do it.
That's all we got.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. If you want to chat with us, and certainly if you want to come to the office or do your telehealth visit, call us at the office, 516-794-0404. We'd love to help you out, no matter where you are. And the website, drcalapai.com. God bless you all. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.